There are a lot of services and resources out there that are designed to help churches with their media and creative needs. And a lot of these are honestly really great. However, I still see three common problems that these resources do not solve. And that's what we're talking about on today's episode of Church Media HQ. Welcome to Church Media HQ. My name is Luke Clayton, your host, and I'm so glad that you've joined us for this episode. If you haven't yet, I hope you'll take a moment to subscribe wherever you're listening to a podcast or on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, like this video so that it gets seen by other church leaders like you. Now, today's episode, I'm going to just take a moment to talk to you about something that is really important and something that's oftentimes missed in the world of church media. Now, look, there are a lot of great resources out there for churches and specifically church media needs. I have nothing wrong with any of these in themselves. And in fact, for sake of time, I'm not going to go over it right now. But if you were wondering what type of resources I would recommend, reach out to us and I'd love to share with you the resources and services that I think are great. Now, obviously here at Church Media HQ, we offer services as well. And from time to time, I like to highlight what we do here at Church Media HQ beyond just the content that you're watching or listening to now. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that most of what Church Media HQ does is actually free. And in fact, that's all I'm going to highlight on this episode. But first, I want to look at the three problems that most media resources don't solve for churches. The first one is that there is overwhelm in options. So one of the greatest illusions of control and one of the biggest hindrances of efficiency is an oversaturation of choice. So sure, it may seem nice to be able to pick from 10,000 or 100,000 or however many graphics and video and assets there are to choose from in some of the libraries we've seen out there. But how often have you found yourself scrolling through really great creative content? You know, it all looks good. A lot of these resources, a lot of these libraries of media, church media, it looks really good as far as visual. They're very, very rarely is there like an ugly design. They all look really nice, but you could just, as I've been there, you just spend so much time scrolling through this really great content, but you're unable to decide, which one to pick. And not to mention, if you're working with a team, well, going through all of these options, the overwhelm effect gets compounded because now, instead of just one person making the choice, now you've got multiple people viewing all of these options, and what seems like countless choices, and everybody's got their own opinion. So now it becomes an even more complex matter to really do what should be really simple when it comes to picking a design theme for maybe a sermon series or an upcoming event or whatever it may be. So you may have found yourself in one of these situations, and whether you have or not, the principle remains the same. And that's this: the illusion of choice actually makes it more difficult for you to make a decision. So think about Netflix, okay? So you have Netflix or some type of streaming service, but this is pretty common on Netflix because Netflix has quite the catalog of content. I can't tell you how many times, I don't have Netflix anymore, but back when I did, and this is part of the reason I got rid of it, because in my opinion, Netflix is quantity over quality, but that's neither here nor there. That's just a side note. But back when I did have it, I remember so many times going to try to watch something and scrolling and just going through all the options. And at the end of my session there, I spent 15, 20, 30 minutes or more just looking and saying, I might watch that, but maybe not, or maybe I'll watch this. And see, that we have that power of choice But really, it's no power in it all. It's actually just paralyzing us. And you really don't want to have that when it comes to your church's media. So whether you found this yourself in this situation or not, you don't want to have this trouble when it comes to making a decision, because it can cripple your creative department and your overall effectiveness of the outreach there at your church. Now, with Church Media HQ, we intentionally showcase a limited media collection each month with upcoming event graphics, social media images, sermon design themes, sometimes videos, and more that are only relevant to the current season. Now, you might be skeptical, and you might be thinking, well, I like to be able to pick from all the choices, and I understand. It's definitely a paradigm shift, but once you understand and embrace it, you're going to see the benefit. And so if you're not convinced yet, it's all good. I check out the current content that's available at ChurchMediaHQ.com so you get an idea of what we're talking. What we provide quality, but we're not so much focused on quantity. Again, this is intentional. We're limiting your choice to just a handful of good graphics that are only relevant to the time to things like the time of year, like I said, the current season, things like that. We do always keep a selection of year-round graphics that will work no matter what time of year it is. However, altogether, it's a small selection. We don't boast to have thousands upon thousands of graphics. We simply say that we give you what you need for now. So check out what we got. Stay connected with us and learn more about and just keep learning more about how we can provide your church with the media resources and creative coaching that you need to reach your community. And as always, if you have any questions or any thoughts or whatever, reach out to me. I'd love to answer them. That goes for anything that we cover. I always want to hear your feedback and your thoughts, so feel free to reach out to me. Now, the second kind of problem that most media resources and services don't solve is the what do I do now effect. It's something I call the what do I do now effect. Here's what I'm talking about. I'll never forget the first time I drove a car. And it technically wasn't a car. It was actually my grandpa's 1992 Chevy pickup, which, side note, I still have to this day. He's since gifted it to me. I visited him at his home in a small town in the backwoods of Alabama. And when I walked in, he tossed me his truck keys and he said, "All right, go drive." I still remember the thoughts that rushed through my head in that moment as I looked at those keys in my hand. And then I remember thinking a couple things. First, I'd been a passenger before, so for years I've observed my parents and others drive. And for a second I thought, yeah, I guess I could figure it out. And it was kind of exciting. It was kind of like, oh, okay, is this really how it's going to work? Great. All right, cool. I'll figure it out. Like I said, I watch other people drive. How hard can it be? But quickly, that confidence kind of fleeted, and my mind changed to asking a question, well, what do I do now? Now, thankfully, my grandpa was joking. He was just messing around. That's like he liked to often do. And he was actually a great driving instructor. He taught me everything I needed to know about operating the vehicle. And he sat shotgun in that pickup truck for hours as we drove on those old country roads. And he was giving me guidance and coaching at every turn. Now, this is how so many pastors and church leaders feel when it comes to their church media. You sign up for this new, media resource library service. You get access to all these graphics, all these videos, all these creative content. And on the surface, it seems really great. And you might even seem somewhat, you're kind of excited. You might have this short-lived confidence. But soon, you find yourself asking the question, well, what do I do now? And Church Media HQ provides you with the creative media. Yes, we're going to provide you with the graphics, the videos, the things that you need to have impactful outreach at your church, but we don't stop there. We also give you the knowledge and the coaching that shows you how you can use this media effectively. So how do we do this? Well, the first way is through the way you're watching now. We provide weekly podcast and YouTube episodes where we have ongoing conversations with church leaders and creative experts. And these episodes also will feature, an occasional training where we going to provide some more practical insight on areas like website development, graphic design, video production, and more. And if you ever want to get insight on your church's needs specifically, you can schedule a free coaching call with me at any time where we discuss your church's specific goals, some things you may be struggling with, and we help you develop a strategy to take your creativity and outreach to the next level. So you don't have to deal with this "what do I do now" effect. You can get the coaching that you need so that you know exactly what your church needs to do to make a greater impact in your community. So you can go and you can subscribe to our podcast, to our YouTube channel, and you can even start scheduling these completely free coaching calls. You can schedule as many of them as you want, as often as you want. And again, they're completely free at churchmediahq.com/coach. Check it out, and I look forward to helping your church reach more people in your community in the days ahead. Now, the third problem that most media resources and services don't really solve, and it's really not more of a problem as it is a question, and that is this: what is your calling? Now, there's a good chance that if you're watching or listening to this, that you can remember a moment in your life where you felt called to do what you do. And to do what you do, you really have to be called. I don't know anyone who went into ministry for the money or for the opportunity to climb the ladder of success from a corporate business perspective. You probably realized a long time ago that those were not going to be a part of your why in pursuing your calling. But you also didn't go into church work so that you could learn Photoshop or how to produce church announcements using your phone. Sure, we all have to do things from time to time, really in any line of work that's not in our wheelhouse. But you know that I'm not really describing a from time to time scenario. For many church leaders, creating and managing their media is a constant nagging, necessary evil that you just have to do. Affording a full-time or even part-time creative professional like a designer or videographer or web developer, it's just not an option. So it's on you to do the design, to produce the videos, and to just, when it comes to media and creative, just make it happen. I admire every pastor and church leader that has committed his life to the cause of Christ. I mean that. I have the utmost respect for those who have made this their life's calling and their life's work. And I really just I honor you in that. But when I see a pastor, when I see a church leader who has to be their graphic designer or their video editor, their media director, on top of the weekly preaching, the regular counseling, the hospital visits, and all the other true ministry work that comes along with being a pastor or church leader, I can't help but wonder how much more effective they would be if they didn't have to worry about the media side of it all. And this really describes the heartbeat of Church Media HQ. There's too many churches out there that their media and their creative departments are lacking. Maybe it's lacking in quality. Maybe it's lacking in just output in general. Maybe there's just not a lot of creative, things happening. There's not a lot of, good videos and good designs being used. They're lacking in some way because the leader in charge of the ministry is simply overwhelmed. But quality media and creative content in today's culture is crucial to the success of your church's outreach. There's no question about that. So a few years ago, I had to make a choice. I was either going to watch churches that couldn't afford my going rate for creative services, or anybody's rate for that matter. I was going to have to watch them continue to struggle, or I was going to need to figure out a way to provide any church with the creative content and insight they need to reach their community. And while we do offer paid services, the vast majority of what Church Media HQ does is free for churches. This includes graphics, videos, other media resources, as well as that creative coaching. And it's all accessible, again, completely free of charge for churches. Let us take your church's media to the next level. Check out our graphics. Check out what we offer. Again, head over to ChurchMediaHQ.com. See what we offer there. Subscribe to our podcast. Start checking in with our weekly episodes and content that we're putting out in terms of coaching. And take it a step further and schedule a free coaching session with me so we can talk about what you need specific. This coaching session, it's not a sales call. It's not an opportunity to upsell you and try to get you to buy into maybe a paid level of service. Again, we offer those, and if you think that's for you and you think that's a good fit, then great. We will discuss it when that time is right. But honestly, we're not going to do a sales call. We're not going to do a sales pitch. We just want to help you. And you really have nothing to lose. Other than maybe some of these overbearing demands of your creative media needs. So check us out, ChurchMediaHQ.com. That's where you're going to find all of these resources, all of the coaching, anything that we offer is going to be there. And again, the vast majority of what we do, it's completely free. I'm so grateful for each and every viewer/listener that that consume our weekly episodes. But it's like I said before, that's only the tip of the iceberg. That's only the beginning. We want to help you on a regular basis. We want to help you in more than just those weekly episodes. We want to help you by providing you with that creative media and then even the actual coaching based on your specific, where you and I are able to discuss specifics about your church. We want to help you with that. And I am so glad that you're connected with us, and I look forward to being able to work with your church and serve your church more in the future so that your church can use this amazing power of media and creative content to impact your community. Thanks again. I look forward to working with you soon here at Church Media HQ. Now, I want to thank you as always. Like I've already said, I want to continue to express my gratitude to each and every one of you who watch or listen to our episodes. If you haven't yet, of course, take a moment to subscribe wherever you're listening to podcasts or wherever you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe there. And we'd love to hear from you. You can leave a comment maybe below in YouTube if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, or you can reach out to us. The best way to contact us is to head over to ChurchMediaHQ.com, and you'll find a way for you to reach out to us and begin a conversation with us there. Please take advantage of the resources we have. We make these for churches to use for free. Church Media HQ is a production of the Must Increase Network. The show is produced and edited by Bo Snyder. The executive producer and host is myself, Luke Clayton. Now, until I see you next time, I want to remind you, try something new. It doesn't matter what it is, try something new. Because it is so much better to fail at trying the incredible than to succeed at doing just the average. We'll see you next time on Church Media HQ.